Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be talking about some books on my Christmas wish list. So clearly it is the Christmas season and all things Christmas and bookish are on my mind. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of share with you guys some of the books that I'm really hoping to get for Christmas this year. Now, realistically speaking, am I going to get all of these books? No, but I still am hoping for some of them. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the books that I am really excited for and hope to get soon. So I do have my Amazon wish list pulled up and I'm going to go through a few of these books. I don't remember the synopsis of all these books. I may try to read a few, but I don't want to bore you guys to death. I mean, we're all book lovers, so like, am I really going to bore you? Maybe not, but I still don't want to read all the synopses. So we're just going to start at the top. Most recently, I have seen a cozy mystery that I'm really interested in. I haven't read a lot of cozy mysteries and I'm really not sure still if I like the genre or not, but I do want to try a few books in the genre. And this is one that I saw. The cover really drew me in as well as the title of the book. And so that one is Buried in a Good Book by Tamara Berry. And this is a by the book mysteries book and it is book 1. I really love the cover of this one. Like I said, I just think it looks really cozy and I love the artwork. This is about a thriller writer who knows way more than anyone should about death and dismemberment, her young daughter who's more intrigued by dead bodies than she probably should be, an isolated cabin in the woods that's probably definitely hiding something, and the tiny mountain town that seems less than troubled by a sudden abundance of murders. The things that piqued my interest about this, other than the cover, is that this follows a thriller writer. I like that I think she's a single mom. I don't know. It says that she just arrives with her teenage daughter at her grandfather's rustic cabin in the woods. And when she goes into the house, it's like raining fish guts and a human arm, question mark? So I don't know. It just sounds really interesting. I think it would be a good one to pick up for the summer as well, because I know during the summertime, I get in a weird reading mood. And so sometimes I'll pick up different things. And this one just looks really summery and fun. So if I'm doing any readathons in the summer, which hopefully I will be, then I think this would be a good one to pick up. So it should come as no surprise, or maybe it is a surprise if you haven't been around for the last little bit on my channel, but I have been picking up a couple of romances recently, and I don't want to say that I'm like in my romance era or going into my romance era, but I will say that because I've loved what I've read recently, I've really wanted to pick up more and to find more romances that I love. So if you don't already know this, I really like clean romances or closed door, or I can deal with cracked door, but I'd prefer no open door smutty romances. So if you have any recommendations for me, feel free to leave them down below. But bonus points if it is childhood friends to lovers or friends to lovers, second chance romance, and most recently I've even enjoyed the boyfriend's best friend trope, or childhood crush, anything like that. So in my hunting for books like that, I came across Authentically Izzy by Pepper Basham. I believe this is a Christian fiction author, which, with that being said, I feel like there is also going to be maybe some Christian elements in the story as well, or at least like some Christian messages underlying, which I always like in my books. I don't typically gravitate towards Christian fiction, but I do like having those messages like sprinkled here and there. And then also I can pretty much guarantee this is going to be a clean romance. So again, initially the first thing that drew me into this one was the cover. It is so cute. And it also said this is witty, hilarious, and heartwarming. It is an epistolary novel, which means it is either written partially or wholly in letters. And I love that. That is one of my favorite things in books. It says, "Dear reader, my name is Isabel Louisa Edgewood, Izzy for short. I live by blue-tinted mountains where I find contentment in fresh air and books. Oh, and coffee and tea, of course. And occasionally in being accosted by the love of my life. You'll understand my verb choice in the phrase later. I dream of opening my own bookstore, but my life, particularly my romantic history, has not been the stuff of fairy tales, which is probably why my pregnant, misled matchmaking cousin, who really is more like my sister, signed me up for an online dating community. The trouble is, it worked. I've met my book-quoting Mr. Right, and our correspondence has been almost too good to be true. But Brody lives across an ocean, and just the other day, a perfectly nice author and professor named Eli came into the library where I work and asked me out for a coffee. I feel a rom-com movie with a foreboding disaster nipping at my heels. But I've played it safe for a long time. Maybe it's time for me to be as brave as my favorite literary heroines. Maybe it's time to take this adventure from the page to real life. Wish me luck. Authentically, Izzy. Does that not just sound like the cutest, most perfect bookish romance ever? Like, I'm very excited for this one. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but I'm definitely, like, this one is very, very high up on my radar. Another book on my radar that may surprise you, and I'm not going to talk about this one a lot because I feel like everybody talks about it, and I don't even super remember what it's about, but I want to go in kind of blind. That is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I know. So if you've been around on my channel since the beginning, you may remember me reading the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I think I gave the first book 4 stars maybe, the second book 3 stars, and the last book I just DNF'd. Which I don't know if I would keep those same ratings today. Honestly, I just really didn't care for that series. I didn't really enjoy the world building or the characters. I wasn't invested. I honestly don't really remember a lot about what happened anyways, and that is what made me question whether or not I even liked fantasy books. However, I do think that I have a very specific taste in fantasy. I'm still kind of finding that out because I don't pick up a lot of fantasy, so I haven't really had the opportunity to explore, but I don't know that that was really my area of fantasy. And I also really wasn't crazy about Leigh Bardugo's writing style, which I know is a hot take, so you're welcome for that. Sorry if it stomps on your toes a little bit. It's my opinion. It doesn't hold true for anything. It's just the way that I felt about it. And I said I probably would never pick up another book by her just because I really wasn't interested in any of her stories. And again, I really wasn't crazy about her writing style. However, 2023 is a new year and I'm planning on picking up some books that I never thought that I would read. One of those being Ninth House. So all I remember about this is that it's like a dark academia type book. And I don't really know anything else other than that. I think, let's see, takes place, I think maybe at Harvard. Isn't it an Ivy League school or something? You can tell I remember all the things about it. But all I know is it's dark academia and it's like a mystery, maybe thriller. I don't know. Also some fantasy question mark. I don't really even know. Can you tell I really don't know? But I don't want to know. Please do not comment and tell me what this book is about. I want to go in blind. And I know some people are going to tell me that's not the book you should try to pick up by her. Why don't you try Six of Crows? No, that's still in the Grishaverse. I know everybody says it's better, but I just don't think it's going to be for me. So this is what I'm going to pick up by her, and I have it on my wish list. Taking a turn back into the romance genre, another one that I have is Just Another Love Song. Now, I'm not always into the whole like music, fame type of stories. I'll watch them on TV some, like if they're in a movie or something like that, but I really don't like books with that. But this cover just sold me. It was so stinking cute. And I do believe it's set in the South as well, or maybe not in the South, but like around country music or something, which piqued my interest. It says 2 high school sweethearts get a second chance at their perfect ending in this charming new romance. Once upon a time, Sandy McIntosh thought she would have her happily ever after with her high school sweetheart, Hank Tillman. Okay, this is the trope. That's why I like it. Sandy wanted to be an artist. Hank was the only boy in town who seemed destined for bigger things, and they both had dreams to escape town together. But when Sandy's plans fell through, she stayed in their small town in Ohio while Hank went off to Boston to follow his dreams to be a musician with the promise to stay together. Only that plan fell through too. 15 years later, second chance romance! I love it. 15 years later, Sandy runs a successful greenhouse while helping her parents with their bed and breakfast. Everything is perfect until Hank rolls back into town, now a famous alt country singer with a son in tow, single dad. She's happy with the life she's built by herself, but seeing Hank makes her think about what might have been. There aren't enough cliche love songs in the world to convince Sandy to give Hank another chance, but when the two of them get thrown together to help organize the town's annual street fair, she wonders if there could be a new beginning for them, or if what they had is just a tired old song of the past. Now I'm excited all over again. I mean, that's what happens when you reread synopses. You're like, yeah, this book is cute. Why is that on my list? And then it's like, yes, second chance romance. Love that trope. I haven't read a single dad trope, but I feel like that could be a thing that I enjoy. Again, I don't like the fame thing, but it's like a comeback to the small town. I don't know. I just feel like I could really love this one. Again, the cover is super cute, so I'm very excited for this one. Another one on my wish list. Then I have another one. It's The Rewind by Alison Wynne Scotch. I heard about this one later on in the year, and I really was surprised that I didn't hear about it sooner. It follows 2 exes who wake up together with wedding bands on their fingers and no idea how they got there. They have one New Year's Eve at the end of 1999 to figure it out, and I think it's like, I don't want to say it's a time travel. It is time travel, but I don't think it goes back and forth a lot. I'm not really sure. These people are going to their friends' weddings, I think, and then they end up waking up finding each other like in the same bed with wedding rings on, and they're like, how did we get here? But they're also back in the 90s. So I think what intrigued me about this one was because it's set in the 90s, and I also love that it's potentially like a second chance romance trope. And so, I don't know, I've heard mixed things about it. My friend Gwen read it and she wasn't crazy about it, but I think I still want to pick it up. She said she really didn't like the writing, but I don't know. Sometimes I could have difference in reading taste with my friends, so you never know. I still really want to pick this one up. I think it would be a good New Year's Eve or going into the new year read, so it is also something I'm really interested in reading soon. Another romance that I have is The Off Limits Rule by Sarah Adams. I've seen a lot of people talk about the cheat sheet, which I might read. I think it's a clean romance. I think Sarah Adams writes clean romances, which I really enjoy, as I mentioned. And so I wanted to try out one of her books, but this is the one that really piqued my interest. It's because it's the first book, and I don't think it tells the series where I'm looking on Amazon, but it's like some kind of Nashville series is what it is. Yeah, it doesn't tell. But it's a laugh out loud, closed door romance with implied intimacy, mild language, and sexual innuendos. So like, it's closed door. It's fine. So we got a little steam, but we don't go all the way. That's fine. Or if maybe they do go all the way, I don't know. And we're just closing the door, which is fine. I don't need to see all that. But I'm very much one of those people that like, I want people to fall in love and have all the moments and all the things, but I can be happy for people without seeing all the details. That's just the way that I am. But this one sounds really cute. It says, breaking a rule has never been so enticing. I have found rock bottom. It's here, moving in with my older brother because I'm too broke to afford to live on my own. It's okay though, because we've always been close and I think I'm going to have fun living with him again. That is, until I meet Cooper. Turns out my brother has very strong opinions on the idea of me dating his best friend and is dead set against it. According to him, Cooper is everything I should stay away from. Flirtatious, adventurous, non-committal, and freaking hot. I added that last part because I feel like you need the whole picture. My brother's right. I should stay away from Cooper James and his pretty blue eyes. He's the opposite of what I need right now. Nah, who am I kidding? I'm going for it. This gave me, not complete, but like a little bit of cross-country Christmas vibes just because you've got the brother's best friend trope. So that definitely piqued my interest in this one. Then I have Spells for Lost Things by Jenna Evans Welch, which this is the author that wrote Love and Gelato. I haven't read that book. I know it was adapted into a movie or a TV series or something as well. Haven't seen that, but this one really piqued my interest. The cover is very like subtle and pretty, and I really didn't even know this was a romance until I realized who the author was. But it just sounds so cute. It is YA, which makes me nervous because I don't always love YA romance or YA books, depending on the level of angst and maturity of the characters. But this one really piqued my interest because it is set in Salem, Massachusetts. And it says, Willow has never felt like she belonged anywhere and is convinced that the only way to find a true home is to travel the world. But her plans to act on her dream are put on hold when her aloof and often absent mother drags Willow to Salem, Massachusetts to wrap up the affairs of an aunt Willow didn't even know she had, an aunt who may or may not have been a witch. There she meets Mason, a loner who's always felt out of place and has been in and out of foster homes his entire life. He's been classified as one of the runaways, constantly searching for ways to make it back to his mom, even if she can't take care of him. It's his job to try and take care of her, isn't it? Naturally pulled to one another, Willow and Mason set out across Salem to discover the secret past of Willow's mother, her aunt, and the ambiguous history of her family. During all of this, the two can't help but act on their natural connection. But with the amount of baggage between them and Willow's growing conviction her family might be cursed, can they manage to hold on to each other? This just sounds really, really cute. I love that she is learning that she may or may not be a witch or from a lineage of witches. I really like witchy stories, depending on what they are. But this one sounds like one that I might really enjoy, and there's also a romance along the way. I think this has the potential to be a really cute story, so this was definitely high on my radar. The next book on my list is a thriller, and it is The Guest House by Robin Morgan Bentley. I have not seen a lot of people talk about this, but one of my Instagram friends posted about it, and I was like, this sounds really, really good, and she was raving about it. So I wanted to make sure that I added it to my list because I don't want to miss out on this. It follows this couple that they are going on, I guess, like a baby moon before they have their baby. So they're going on this one last vacation. They get set up at this retreat that is miles away from anything, like miles away from their work, their regular life, and out probably, it seems like, in the middle of nowhere. And they have these people that run this place that are really accommodating to them when they first get there. But then the next day they wake up, the owners are gone, and they are locked in this house. And so they have no cell phones and no car keys because they have disappeared. And it seems like the wife may actually be about to go into labor, but there's no way out. That sounds terrifying, but also super intriguing. So I definitely want to give this one a try. Then I have Shady Hollow by Juno Black. This is a book that has taken the book community by storm, especially people that love cozy mysteries. I first heard about this one from Lauren Love Reads. She loves this series so much, and I feel like, again, I've not really gotten super into cozy mysteries, but I want to see which ones I like within the genre and if it's one that I would potentially love. And this one could possibly be giving me middle grade vibes. I know it's not a middle grade, it's an adult book, it's a murder mystery, but the fact that this is a murder mystery that centers around this community of animals that have human-like qualities is super intriguing. The main character is a fox. I think her name is Vera Vixen, and she is our sleuth in the story. And I just think it'd be really cool to see these woodland creatures come together to solve a mystery. I know that they are very human-esque, so it's not like you're actually following animals. Like, you could probably visualize them as humans, but it's just really piqued my interest, so it's definitely one I want to try out. Then I have The Secret Garden Devotional by Rachel Dodge. Rachel Dodge has done a couple of other devotionals. I can't remember. I think she may have done Little Women or Anne of Green Gables or something like that. But I'm really interested in The Secret Garden one. I have loved the story of The Secret Garden this year and have read both the original story as well as 5 or 6 adaptations or reimaginings of this story. So I'm very excited for this devotional. I really want to see kind of how there's like a Christian tie-in with The Secret Garden, or how you can take bits and pieces of The Secret Garden and add in faith aspects to that. I think it'd be really cool to go through. It's set up where you read the story again, but you have little devotionals throughout it. So it's like this chapter by chapter companion. So what you do is you have the story already of The Secret Garden. You read the first chapter, and then you start the first day, and you kind of revisit what happened in the story, but also there's a faith tie-in, there's a prayer for the day, there are scriptures, and I just think this is really cool. It's also illustrated really beautifully, and so I really think I want this in my collection. I think it would be a really fun thing to start in the new year. Another book I've been really interested in is My Aunt is a Monster by Romana Yee. I was looking on Goodreads. You know how you can go and like the new releases by your authors, and I read Romana Yee's other book, which was, I've already forgotten the title, The Seance Tea Party, and I really loved that one, and so I wanted to check this one out. It looks really cute. This is a middle grade graphic novel, and it says, curses, adventures, and drama. Oh my. Safia might not be able to see the world, but that doesn't mean she can't experience it to the fullest as she finds herself on her very first adventure. This is a contemporary fantasy middle grade graphic novel about discovering what you are truly capable of. So our main character is blind, and it says she thought she would only get to go on adventures through her audiobooks, but this all changes when she goes to live with a distant and mysterious aunt, Lady Whimsy, who takes Safia on the journey of a lifetime. Something ends up happening where Lady Whimsy is in danger, and Safia kind of has to take matters into her own hands and become the hero of her own story. I think this has the potential to be a really cute graphic novel. I have friends who have read it. I believe Elizabeth from Ponytails and Paperback read this one and said she really loved it and thought it was so cute. So I'm definitely super intrigued by this one, and it's been a while since I've read a graphic novel, so I definitely need a new one on my shelves. Another book that has been on my wish list for a really long time is The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. I originally put this on my wish list because I read her other book, which is one of my favorites. It's One Day in December, and I really love that Christmas story, and I really wanted to read this book. I think I've put it on a few like February Valentine's TBRs. I've gotten it checked out from the library before, but I've never owned it, and I really want to read this one. This is a story about what ifs, and I love stories like that, about figuring out what you have to choose and what would happen if I did this, or what would happen if I did this, because I think that's just something that humans deal with a lot, and where we think about the what ifs. So this story follows Lydia and Freddie. They've been together for more than a decade, and Lydia thought their love was indestructible, but she was wrong. On Lydia's 28th birthday, Freddie died in a car accident. So now it's just Lydia, and all she wants is to hide indoors and sob until her eyes fall out. But Lydia knows that Freddie would want her to try to live life fully, happily, even without him. So enlisting the help of his best friend Jonah and her sister Elle, She takes her first tentative steps into the world, open to life and perhaps even love again. But then something inexplicable happens that gives her another chance at her old life with Freddie, a life where none of the tragic events of the past few months have happened. Lydia is pulled again and again through the doorway to her past, living two lives, impossibly at once. But there's an emotional toll to returning to a world where Freddie, alive, still owns her heart, because there's someone in her new life, her real life, who wants her to stay. I don't even know how this would go. Like, I can't even imagine having, I mean, obviously, like, the opportunity is not realistic because this does not happen in real life. It's magical realism, but what would you do? I love those stories where you think, like, what would you do in this situation? What would I do? How would I feel? And how would I know what to do? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those that I'm like, I have to see what choice she makes. So again, this has been on my wish list for so long and I still don't have it. So still very high up on my list. I love Josie Silver's writing. I loved her other stories. So I'm really intrigued by this one as well. I mentioned The Secret Garden earlier, and that has really become one of my favorite stories. And I recently found out there is a middle grade novel that is inspired by The Secret Garden. It's called The Humming Room by Ellen Potter. It says, hiding is Rue Fanshaw's special skill. Living in a frighteningly unstable family, she often needs to disappear at a moment's notice. When her parents are murdered, it's her special hiding place under the trailer that saves her life. As it turns out, Rue, much to her surprise, has a wealthy, if eccentric uncle who has agreed to take her into his home on Cough Rock Island. Once a tuberculosis sanitarium for children of the rich, the strange house is teeming with ghost stories and secrets. Rue doesn't believe in ghosts or fairy stories, but what are those eerie noises she keeps hearing? And who is that strange wild boy who lives on the river? People are lying to her, and Rue becomes determined to find the truth. Despite the best efforts of her uncle's assistants, Rue discovers the house's hidden room, a garden with a tragic secret. Definitely high up on my list as well because I love all things Secret Garden. There's only been one or two things that I read from The Secret Garden this year that I didn't like. Gallant by V.E. Schwab, I wasn't a huge fan of. It's like a dark retelling or reimagining of it, and I didn't love that one as much as I wanted to. It just didn't have the depth that I wanted it to have. And then another one is I have the Secret Garden graphic novel adaptation that is like basically the adaptation like from the story, but it leaves some things out and deals with some things that are considered problematic in the original story, which I understand sometimes stories don't age well, and there are definitely some elements of the original Secret Garden story that have some problematic things. I'm just going to say that, but I didn't like how I feel like it changed the story a little bit. So those are the two that I didn't enjoy, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the adaptations or retellings, reimaginings that I've read. So I'm really interested in The Humming Room. Switching things up a bit again, I have really gotten into horror this year, but a specific kind of horror. And I had seen people around Halloween time talking about Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. And this is a novella, which I'm really interested in. It takes place on Halloween in 1963. It says they call him the October Boy or Old Hacksaw Face or Sawtooth Jack. Whatever the name, everybody in this small Midwestern town knows who he is. How he rises from the cornfields every Halloween, a butcher knife in his hand, and makes his way toward town, where gangs of teenage boys eagerly await their chance to confront the legendary Nightmare. Both the hunter and hunted, the October Boy is the prize in an annual rite of life and death. Pete McCormick knows that killing the October Boy is his one chance to escape a dead-end future in this one-horse town. He's willing to risk everything, including his life, to be a winner for once. But before the night is over, Pete will look into the sawtooth face of horror and discover the terrifying true secret of the October Boy. I have heard lots of good things about this one, and I definitely want to start building my TBR for next Halloween. I probably will save it till then, but it is one that, I don't know, I just heard a lot of people talking about it this past Halloween and spooky season and really enjoy it, so it definitely had to be on my list. I haven't really mentioned a lot of middle grade, and I haven't read a ton of middle grade this year as much as I have in the past. I definitely feel like I have honed in on what I like in middle grade, and that is spooky middle grade books. So I don't read a lot outside of that unless the story just really piques my interest. But let's just go ahead and round out this list with a spooky middle grade book that I have been excited for all year, and that is Field Guide to the Supernatural Universe by Allison Noel. This book looks super cute from the, well, super cute and also spooky from the cover. I just love the artwork and how you've got this creepy house and these kids on top, and then you've got this like underneath the ground seeming boy that's going through with these spooky eyes and all the things. It just looks so stinking cute. It says it's Stranger Things meets Sideways Stories from Wayside School, which if you guys read that as a kid, you may recognize those stories. This is a quirky supernatural middle grade novel about a boy on an unlikely quest to uncover an enchanted book to defeat an unearthly nemesis. I think this book has the potential to be a new spooky middle grade favorite. I think it has some illustrations inside as well, so I've really been interested in this one, and we're gonna go ahead and round off and end my list with that one. I am so excited for all these books and so many more, but these are just a few that I wanted to highlight on my Christmas wish list. So maybe I introduced you to some new books today. You'll have to let me know down in the comments if any of these piqued your interest, or if you've read any of them and think I will love them too. Don't forget, at the beginning of the video, I had mentioned that I was getting more into romance and the different tropes and things that I like in a romance. If you know any books that might tickle my fancy, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you don't mind and you've made it this far in the video and you don't really have anything else you'd like to say, but you want to support my channel, go ahead and leave a gift emoji down below, because we are talking about books on my Christmas wish list, so I feel like a gift is an appropriate emoji to use. But thank you guys as always so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye friends.